It's Cameron Wolfe, ESPN Titans reporter. You're watching The Real Deal with Akil.
Real Deal with Akil, baby. Episode 30, what's it, 32? 32, man. I don't know. I don't keep count no more. Man. I got Cameron Wolfe, insider for the Tennessee Titans at ESPN. I got it right? Insider, writer.
Hey, whatever you want to go with.
Long, what you going? Rookie of the year?
Hey, I'll take that. On my Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, you know.
Denver Post. Now for ESPN, man. Talk just before we get into everything else, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate that.
Congratulations on the wedding, man. That's inspiration.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Black family, black couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially for a man like me that's single, been out the game for 5 years, and I look at people that get married, and this motivation is inspiration.
Right.
But these damn women in the H, man, you know, they be playing these minds, dog. They when they here for a long time, they don't leave. They need to get out.
Yeah.
Because they minds get messed up.
Right.
But I ain't gonna rant. I ain't gonna go off about them. So I want to ask you, how did the proposal go in the beginning?
Oh, it went lovely. You know, I had my Michael Jordan jersey on because Michael Jordan ain't never missing the clutch. You know? And I knew basically she was gonna say yes off the rip. So it was about me figuring out how I'm gonna make this.
Yeah, because it's automatic, basically.
Yeah, automatic.
Layup.
Looking for a layup.
Yeah.
So she from Houston, so we came down here. We was actually in Mo City.
Okay,
Mo City. Shout out to my boy Theo. You know,
you get the man the camera too. You get the man. He was on the episode back then.
Yeah. So we was in Mo City at one of our former bosses' houses, and we had a little get together. We was RAs back in the day, so we had a little get together with all them. That was what we told Bree, and that was what we were doing. And
it was my idea.
It was your idea, but I got our boss together, said, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
Right.
Blah. He helped get some things together.
Yeah.
Basically, everything got flowing, and he called her up to as if she won a prize for a 3-day cruise or 3-day vacation to Dominican Republic. So she was pumped and whatnot. So he actually called me up, and then I came up there, and then she came up there with me. And then as she came,
he missed the story of
As she came up with me.
Pass it to Mike. Pass it to Mike. Pass it to Mike, Cam.
He called me up.
All right, Bree, talking to the mic. Go ahead. So what's the real story?
So the party part is true. We were getting together for a party down here, meeting up with some of our old staff. He kept disappearing during the party.
Right.
Had all of my family, his family, hiding in the house. They wouldn't let me in the house. Kept looking at me crazy. I tried to go in there.
Get somewhere, sit down.
Shut up. But yeah, so they disguised it as a prize drawing. I never even entered my name in the drawing, so something was already weird to me. He was acting funny with me the whole day. I was like, did I make you mad? What's up?
Why don't you get somewhere, sit down?
Anyway, our boss called me up there to pull names, and it ends up being Cameron's name.
Right.
So Cameron walks up there. It's a little walk on, kind of get his smooth walk on. Gets up there, and T was like, yeah, so you want a trip to the Dominican Republic. I'm like, well, can I come on this trip? Is it for 2 people? Because
you thought it was solo dolo?
Yeah, he ain't finna go without me.
He ain't playing that, huh?
So he starts talking about this trip or whatever, and all of a sudden I see my mom walk out. That morning she told me she was in New York. So, lied to my face. I see her walk out, and then I knew that he was about to propose to me.
Yeah, he was crying. He was crying.
She was boo-hoo.
Oh, man. She was full,
All that, so you knew it was like yes. You already know it would be yes automatically.
Yeah, all top.
So it was just like, yeah. Look what it is.
But I started going with my speech, and she started bawling out, crying.
I don't even know what he said.
Her mom coming out. And
so was it out the dome? It was already at the dome, or you?
I had I didn't write it, but I had practiced it once or twice around what I was gonna say.
In the mirror?
Yeah, in the mirror. I had to make sure I was looking, smooth with it. And then once it was kind of, because I like to go off the dome, I don't want it to be scripted.
Right. That's how each time.
Once I knew my three topic points I wanted to hit, I was good. It's just like doing a TV hit. You get 3 topic points, hit them, and then go with your emotions through that. So I said that. She was in. She said yeah, and that was it.
Man, that's inspiration, man. It's July, right?
Yeah.
July 1st. This is my first real wedding. Sorry, Zion. Zion, you one of my best friends. That was a wedding. I went to like a full blown out, walking through like the clubhouse, not in the back of a restaurant. No disrespect to Zion. That's my boy.
Right.
You know, no disrespect. I didn't kill him. I know he gonna listen. So I'm like,
He gonna
man,
be pissed.
like I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a wedding, like wedding, like
Right.
full blown out.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not, that's how I was looking at it. But I'm congratulations on both of y'all.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations. So we gonna get to football. See, well, before we get to football, Rockets Warriors, who you got
Who gonna win tonight, or who gonna win the series?
tonight in the series?
I hate to break Houston's heart, but I think the Warriors gonna end up winning this series.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think Rockets gave more of a fight than a lot of people thought, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this go to 7. But I just think in the end, shoot, and I think that team got too much talent to lose in the end.
Yeah, I could rock with that. I could rock with what you saying. I respect that 1,000%.
Yeah.
Golden State. I see why I picked Golden State. It's Golden State. They got the old.
I want to see the Rockets win. I'm just
Right.
telling you what's gonna happen.
Oh.
I mean,
So no faith in Houston. No faith, like they have no chance tonight.
they got a chance. I mean,
It's 2-2.
they got a best of 3
You
series.
think it's the biggest game for KD career? Not career, but his career thus far in Golden State.
He already got his ring.
No Clay. Well,
Yeah,
Clay hurt.
Yeah, but you're right. He got to step up. It's his.
Right.
This is why he left to come to Golden State.
True.
I
I can rock with that.
So I think it's an old running mate in Harden. We're gonna see. I think it's gonna be a good game though.
Cleveland, Boston. Who you got?
Cleveland, Boston, man.
That's
Man.
you can't just put me on this one right here.
Boston up 3-2. Boston
They're not
up
going on the road,
3-2.
so we know it's going 7 because they ain't on the road yet.
I think Boston gonna pull it out.
Really?
I think Boston gonna pull it out. I say Boston in 7. I think that LeBron just tired. LeBron gonna be tired at the end. I think a Boston Golden State championship.
You know how ugly that is, dog.
TV will be mad.
TV be so pissed. Are you kidding? You gonna give me starless Boston versus this star-studded Golden State? Oh, it's gonna be 5. It's gonna be a 4 game gentleman sweep, dog.
Yeah.
They might pull one
Probably.
game in Boston for energy and adrenaline. They ain't gonna be tripping. Boys probably was drinking the night before out in Boston.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They gonna, come on, man. We need LeBron. We need star power.
We need it, but he ain't
Star
got.
power in the finals. I want to see Houston, Cleveland.
You want to see Houston, Cleveland?
Oh my God! I want to be the guy with the Cleveland shirt on at prospect, address.
Yeah.
Shout out to all y'all places. Shout out to Junior Martin. I want to be that guy.
Right.
That's the bad man, the bad guy.
I feel you.
So when LeBron, I want to see a Game 7 Houston Cleveland. LeBron pull off some heroic game-winning shot.
Yeah.
I'm running around hitting the shoot.
That's
what I'm
always
doing.
next year.
Nah, not next year. Not next year. No. It got to be this year. It's a lot of theories about LeBron might come to Houston. And I want to be the.
I don't think he come to Houston. He come to Philly before he come to Houston.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can see that. But now we're gonna talk football now. We got months until the season start, but training OTAs already kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
You with the Titans. So tell me right now, what is the expectations for the Titans leading up to this season? Coming off a playoff appearance last year, going to the division round now this year. You got Mariota back, healthy, Henry.
Yeah. Big expectations for him. I mean, they fired their coach after the playoff win. That's the type of bold move that you make when you think you close to a championship. So they think they're close. They think that, Marcus Mariota came off a real bad year last year. Threw 13 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. His footwork was sloppy at the end of the year. They were just winning games based off, backyard football.
Right.
It was real just, sloppy play. But they brought in Mike Vrabel. They think that's going to help a lot. They brought in a new OC.
Right.
They signed Deion Lewis in free agency, Malcolm Butler. They brought in some talent, and they think they closed the gap. You see New England at the top of the AFC,
Right.
and then you got Pittsburgh and Jacksonville sort of in that next wave.
Right.
And then you got everybody else, and they think
Right.
they can elevate at least into that second tier
Yeah.
to challenge New England. So we're gonna see big year for Mariota. Year 4 for him. It's about time to put up. He after the season he probably gonna be up for a big time extension, maybe a 9-figure extension.
Right.
But he got to show that he's worth that money.
Exactly.
He got to show that he can lead a team. to a potential championship. So.
And I'm gonna speak on that too. With you added Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
You add Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Deion Lewis. And you look at the schedule they have. We talked about it before. You said 10 wins maybe for Tennessee.
Right.
I think now the AFC South could be the toughest division in the AFC.
I think it might be the toughest division in the NFL.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because you got now Houston.
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy. Luck. I mean, it's 50-50,
Right.
but
Indy might be the worst team in the division, and they got Andrew Luck, who could be the best quarterback in the division.
Right,
depending on how you think Deshaun Watson and Marcus Mariota are going to turn out. But yeah, I think it's a real good. And then you got Jackson. We didn't even mention Jacksonville, and Jacksonville made it to the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of talent in the division. It's going to be harder for teams to make it, but I think there's a chance that maybe 3 teams out of that division make the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a fun division. I think it's back in the day, it used to be a laughingstock division. People used to laugh at the AFC South because it used to be a 7-9 or 8-8 team.
Yeah, exactly.
And win
So
the division.
was.
But those days is over. It's big boy football. A lot of teams, a lot of physicality. So I think Houston with Deshaun Watson, it's going to be a heck of a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then we mentioned Tennessee with Mariota and Jacksonville. I think they'll take a step back, but that defense probably
say
still.
about Jacksonville. Do you think Jacksonville? Do you think that was a not necessarily a fluke year, but it was kind of a year where they won a division because Luck was hurt, J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson went down, and then Tennessee gets in out of nowhere due to those injuries.
Right.
Do you think Jacksonville, Tennessee basically got kind of lucky with those 2 teams being banged up?
I think you could look at some of that. I think both of those teams were good teams. The question is, would they have won that many games if Luck or Watson didn't get injured? I don't know. I mean, I feel like Luck, that team had Luck and everything and nothing else. So
right.
even with Luck, I think they would have been hard pressed to make the playoffs. Indy, Houston, they were a completely different team with Watson in. So who knows? They might have been a playoff team before, but injuries happen in the NFL across the land. So it's just the way it falls. I can't, say that injuries were excuse one way or the other because Philly won a Super Bowl and their quarterback got hurt in Week 15. Yeah. And they rode Nick Foles into a Super Bowl win. So, injuries happen. You got to react to them. But I do think that everybody healthy, all the quarterbacks healthy, it's going to be a heck of a division.
I know you don't cover the Patriots, but I want to talk about them because they at the top of the AFC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you see New England coming back with all the riff-raff going on in the front office with Brady, Belichick, Robert Kraft?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they can bounce back? Do you think they still number 1? Or you see a new team going to the Super Bowl?
I think it's the beginning of the end for the Patriots and their franchise. I think at some point you got to look at Tom Brady. At some point he's going to deteriorate in age. I think it's a situation where we've never seen a quarterback play past 40 at MVP caliber level in the entire history of the NFL. It just doesn't happen. At some point you fall off a cliff. I know Brady's a different type of player, but whether it's this season, whether it's next season, I think we start to see, post-40 Tom Brady. And then, like you mentioned, all the extracurriculars, that stemmed off the Patriots losing that Super Bowl, from Malcolm Butler getting benched and, the Patriots and Bill Belichick never really having a true explanation from that. And then you look at, Tom Brady just feeling like he's not appreciated. You're a 5-time Super Bowl champion, many-time Super Bowl MVP, and you just feel like you're not getting that love. So I do feel like there's a lot of tension within that organization. I don't know if they'll ever figure it out. You don't have to be friends to be a part of a team or be a part of an organization. But when things start getting rocky, that's when things start to separate. So I know Tom's not there for the OTAs. Gronk's not there for OTAs. I think you start to see some of those cracks with the Patriots foundation this season. And I think, we start looking at post Tom Brady, Gronk, and Belichick life in New England.
I know it's still early, but behind New England, who do you see making that jump to be that second team? Because we always said Pittsburgh. It was always Pittsburgh under New England.
Yeah.
Do you see another team that can be like, this team right here in the AFC is scary?
Right. I think you got to look at the quarterbacks. It's always what runs it. Tom Brady ran it because he was the best quarterback in the division for so long. And you look at the teams that challenged him. It was Denver when they had Peyton Manning. It was Pittsburgh when they had Ben Roethlisberger. At times it'd be Phillip Rivers and San Diego at that time. Teams with those top-tier quarterbacks, Pro Bowl quarterbacks that can compete at that level. You got to say, who's that next wave of quarterback? And we talked about a couple of them, Deshaun Watson in Houston. Depending on what Tennessee gets out of Mariota, he could be one. A lot of them are in that AFC South, And then outside of that, just guys that are getting drafted this past year. You got to see what happens with those guys. Yeah. Does Baker Mayfield become a player out in Cleveland? Does I don't think he will be, but does Josh Allen become a player out in Buffalo? Right. Just some of the quarterbacks they drafted in the AFC side. Those guys coming up. I think the Jets drafted Sam Darnold. Right. So you got those new waves of quarterbacks who becomes that elite talent, and that's sort of where you find who's going to be that next tier team to represent the AFC.
The anthem policy that we see what's going on within the past 48 hours with that. Have you talked to anybody on the Titans regarding that situation? And if so, what do they say?
Yeah, I talked to a couple players, and I'm not gonna say names just because they don't want me to.
Right.
But I talked to one player who thinks real heavily about this policy, and he was not surprised. He felt like that the NFL was always about this sort of thing, that they wanted to keep, the stick to sports mantra and keep the protests outside of the field. So he figured once the protests hit a big stream, this was going to be the result. He's not a fan of it. He thinks that more players will end up protesting because of this. And he doesn't think the rule is going to work. I talked to another player who's more on the conservative side of it, and he's a fan of it. He said, I'm going to be out there standing every day for the flag, and I hope my teammates are too. So I think it's two sides of the spectrum, and I think that's why the NFL messed up with this anthem rule, because they tried to appease everybody. You try to play both sides. You try to say, okay, we got people who want everybody to stand, and you kick them off the league if they're not standing. And then you got people who know the issues that are being protested and know that social injustice, racial inequality, and police brutality are issues that need to be talked about in our community and continue to bring highlight. And they feel like you let the players protest and be able to use their platform to talk about whatever they want. So you got two sides of issues, and NFL's like, we're going to let them do both. And in an instance, you appease no one. And I think they messed up because, honestly, the players started to decrease their protests as the season went on. By week 16, week 17, we stopped talking about it. There was a few guys, Eric Reed was still kneeling, but for the most part, people started to figure out how can I use my platform in different ways to make change. And they got the NFL to put $90 million up to social justice reform and whatnot. So they were starting to move that way. And NFL, they want to swing they power around, play a little bully ball and say, hey, we're going to make this rule and say that you got to show respect. Who defines respect? That's the question. I felt like players kneeling were very respectful. Nobody was, acting.
Wasn't hurting nobody.
They were peacefully speaking their point and eloquently talking about why they felt like these issues needed to be addressed, and they were just kneeling and looking straight ahead. So
and now they bring the talk back because like you said, we 16, 17, we was done talking about it. There was nothing to talk about. We stopped doing it. Now all of a sudden they bring it back to conversation. Once again, now we back to where we was last year in the beginning.
Right.
Now we talking about the anthem and protesting.
Yeah, week one won't be about, football, the Eagles defending championship, or the Patriots, what are they going to do? It's going to be about who's in the locker room, who coming out the locker room or not, who's going to stay in there, what they say after. Why weren't you in the locker room? Is it dividing the team? These are all going to be questions, and I know because I'm going to be asking the questions. I'm a reporter. You got to ask those questions. So now the NFL, in an attempt to keep politics out of sports, has done everything to put politics back in it. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen the vice president and we've seen 45 making tweets, about this in celebration, winning. They winning, So basically you see the NFL appeasing Trump and NFL owners, and they did so without consulting the players. So they call it a compromise. I don't see any compromise about it, and I just think the rule is not going to work.
You believe they terrified in Trump?
I think it's a lot of fear. I think they were scared that every time their name came up mentioned with him. There's a lot of times that he entered himself into the sports realm. I know there's the whole stick to sports faction, but he entered himself into sports so many times last season, and NFL owners are terrified about it. Because there's so many owners who gave $1 million to his campaign. So they're Trump supporters. Yeah. And they don't want to be on his bad side. Nobody wants to be on the bad side of the president, but those big money, the big money white owners, they definitely don't want to be on the Trump's bad side.
They don't want to have bad business. Right. Can you imagine being that referee and a team kneels? Like, say, think the Eagles and Falcons is opening night. Can you imagine if the Eagles kneeled, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be that referee to be like, they gotta throw a flag. Flag 15 yards for kneeling. You know how stupid that sounds?
I
Like,
saw that rule proposal.
had nothing
It was
to do with
wild.
football.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I think that the more that they enact these rules to muzzle players, to prevent them from having a voice outside of sports, then that creates more friction. That creates more players wanting to do that. And I think we saw over the last 24 hours a lot of the talk about the NBA versus the NFL and why one seems to be more socially progressive than the other. And it's interesting to me because the NBA has a strict anthem rule. You have to stand for the anthem in the NBA, but we all see the NBA as more of a socially progressive league because the NBA and its teams are more willing to make a stance when something happens in their community.
Yeah, the number one player in the NBA is an activist, then,
right?
LeBron James,
right? And there's a lot of NFL players, particularly those who are not stars, who are afraid of what happens if they speak up. If they say that, hey, I don't think this black man should be killed by police, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to say. I don't think a black man should be killed by police. They are feeling like that threatens their job security. I've talked to players who aren't star players who feel like, okay, what is this going to mean to my bottom line? What is this going to mean when I'm a free agent? What is this going to mean? I'm not Richard Sherman, so Richard Sherman can say this and he's going to get a job regardless. But I'm a middle tier offensive lineman. I'm a backup safety. If I feel like this isn't right in my community, my team might decide, hey, you're not worth the trouble. Go ahead, pack your bags. And it's at such a big platform, it's such a big league, for players to have that much fear about, using their platform and what it can do. I think that's an indictment on the NFL, and I think that's something that needs to be fixed.
Do you think it's because it's non-guaranteed contracts, but people are afraid of losing money?
I think that's a part of it. I think that's definitely part of it. I mean, the NBA has guaranteed contracts, so you had that stability. Very few, if any, NFL players have guarantees in their contract past their first 2 years. So I think that's a big part of it. And I think the NFL is just their union is so much more powerful than the NBA's union compared to the Players League. So there's a lot more strength in the shield. They can yield the shield around a little bit more. And owners have a little bit more control over who signs where, as we've seen with Colin Kaepernick, as we've seen with Eric Reed currently. In the NBA, good players are good players. If you players are a headache, hey, we'll deal with it if you're a good player. NFL, they're going to decide, hey, we'll find a way not to let you play in this league. Right. So I think, that the shield is very, very dangerous, and that's something that a lot of players realize.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The draft, NFL draft. How do you feel about? What would you give the grade for the Titans? What they did overall?
Yeah, they only made 4 picks. It was the lowest in franchise history. They traded up 3 times. They got guys they feel like are impact players. They got Rashaan Evans out of Alabama, linebacker. Harold Landry out of Boston College in the 2nd round, edge rusher. So it's Mike Vrabel's first draft, and he's a linebacker, former linebacker. He got him 2 linebackers that can immediately be impact players. So I think, those are 2 picks that Rashaan Evans is going to start week 1, and Harold Landry is going to be their top edge rusher off the bench. So I think those are win-now moves and for the future. So I think they love what they were able to do. I talked to John Robinson right after he made the pick, and he just couldn't stop smiling. I was like, if I told you you're going to be able to get these 2 players who were first-round talents on their grade in the 1st and the 2nd round, he would say, I'll take it every day. So I think they love it. None of those guys are going to be splash headline guys. They didn't get any offensive players. They're going to impact them. But building that defense up is what they're focusing on, trying to bring that defense to a top 10 defense and hoping that the offense, which they put a lot of resources in, takes that next step under a new coach.
Yeah, I think that would be good for the Titans too, because you have mobile quarterbacks in that division. Watson, Bortles can run now. Andrew Luck is when healthy, he can run that time. So I think you need defense, and I think Titans did make a splash, and then you get Malcolm Butler on corner. How big of a pick you think that was?
Oh, it'll be huge. I think Malcolm Butler, he's known for 2 things. He's known for the Super Bowl interception and Super Bowl benching, but I think he's actually a pretty good player. Right. Number 1 corner. He's a guy who they paid $61.25 million over 5 years. So they invested more than $12 million a year in a guy. So they're counting on him to be big time. So I think that's going to really help their secondary. They've got Logan Ryan and Adoree Jackson there, so they got a real good trio of talented corners. And then they got Kevin Byard, all-pro safety, who's probably going to emerge as a star, if not a superstar in the next year or two. So I think they got a lot of talent in that secondary. They could be a top 5, top 10 secondary within a year or so. So right. I think that's going to be the heart and soul of their defense going forward.
What was your first reaction when you seen the schedule? I'm actually looking at it right now for the first time for the Titans. And you got Dolphins on the road. You got Titans. You got Jaguars. So you got 2 of your first 3 games is a divisional game. Right. You got the Eagles, Super Bowl champs, then Bills, Ravens, Chargers, Cowboys, Titans, Patriots again. Well, Patriots at home, then Colts. So it's a pretty.
It's a smooth balanced smooth balanced schedule. I thought it was ease like the schedule was of ease for the Titans as far as what they could have had. I think they start off Miami, not the team that doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence as far as on the field, and they end very very smooth with I think three of their last 4 or 4 of their last 5 at home. So they're in a good situation. For me, I always look at where the cold weather team is because I don't want to be in the cold weather cities late in the season if I don't got to. So they got Buffalo fairly early, and they got a bye right. They got to go to London this season to play the Chargers, and they got a bye right after that game. So schedule worked out well for them. They got a little publicity with Monday Night Football games. They play at Dallas and at Houston. I think separated by like 2 weeks.
Right. And they got a 5th on Cowboys and 26th. For the Texans. So.
Yeah, and they got a Thursday night football game in there too. So they got 3 primetime games to kind of show off who they are. So I think they're good. I think they got a good schedule for what they want to do.
Where you see them finishing off in the division?
Oh, the division. I picked them at 10-6. I think Jacksonville takes a step back. I think the division ends up becoming more of a 2-man race between Tennessee and Houston. And I think Tennessee wins the division. I think Tennessee wins the division.
Wow.
I think
with 10-6.
I think Tennessee wins the division with 10-6. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be a really good player, but I think the problem that Houston may have is putting too much on his plate at once. We saw, MVP level Deshaun Watson in the 7 games that he played, but I worry that he doesn't have enough talent around that roster to help him not need to be Superman every game. Asking a second-year quarterback to be Superman every game is a lot to ask of a player.
Right.
That offensive line has a lot of holes. That secondary, like we talked about, is still suspect. I think, and we never know what J.J. Watt's going to look like when he comes back from that back. So I think that team, I think it's going to be a solid team, but I'd hesitate to have them go from 5-11 where they were last season all the way to the other end of the spectrum and win 6 more games because Deshaun Watson's healthy. I think that's a lot to ask for a second-year quarterback. So I think they may be a 9-7 team, and the Titans might edge them out with a division.
Oof, well, I got a lot of food on Watson's plate. I got 12 wins for them boys. Shoot, I'm like, man, I seen that schedule. I said, shoot. Yeah. Texans, hey, 9-7 that's like damn. I hope you wrong.
You gotta let Deshaun Watson grow. You gotta let him grow. You can't expect him to be Tom Brady or
right?
Aaron Rodgers in year 2. He gonna have his growing pains.
I know.
He's still gonna be a good player though.
Yeah. So that was. I told you I won't keep you long. It's 30 minutes though. 29-minute show.
Yeah.
NABJ, Detroit. What we looking like?
We'll see. That's training camp season. They always do the NFL reporters wrong.
Yeah.
Because, the NFL reporters are always never there because we got training camp. I went last year to New Orleans. I haven't decided yet for Detroit. It's going to depend on.
Everybody's on the fence.
Detroit. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I've never been to Detroit, so I don't want to down it. But, it ain't the most appealing city off rip. So
I asked Theo last time this is, so I'm going to ask you this. I met you at NABJ. Was that Minnesota.
Right.
I met you through him. Through this weak ass nigga.
Yeah.
Put him on the camera again. Only because
throwing into this one.
Only because
you gotta
might as well walk. You might as well walk.
Yeah.
Only because
you got his head in there. It's a lot of head.
What's up? He got a lot of arms now. Let me get my mic on. He got a lot of arms, so he think he can talk about my head.
Oh man.
Cam just hit when you start hitting the gym.
Oh man, nah. I've been in the gym. I've been in the gym since you was in the womb, young brother.
Oh, yeah.
You
So
know?
that means she was already pushing that weight.
Slugs,
You know what I'm saying?
slugs.
But now
Yeah.
these two guys right here, man, look, man, they inspire me all the time. He introduced me to the game. I met you through him from Minnesota. So I'm going to ask you this. Any advice to people? Because there's a lot of people that want to be in this world that we in, you know, but don't know what they want to do to how to get into it and everything. So what's the advice you give people?
I think for me, you're going to hear a lot of negative stuff about the journalism business, about newspapers dying, about whatnot. I wouldn't care about any of that. All that matters is that there are different mediums to tell stories now. It's different digital mediums, different unorthodox ways for us to get into the business. And I think it's more appealing for people that look like me and you know, young black men and women who were traditionally kept out of this industry because you had to be 35 and white to write in the newspaper. So I think for us going forward, we have to not be afraid of the business and some of the shuttering, some of the closed doors, and just be creative in how we want to tell stories. I think there's a lot of stories to be told from our perspective. I think there are, particularly in this wave of athletes protesting and politics being intertwined in sports, we bring a perspective that a lot of people can't bring.
Right.
And I think my advice for journalists would be, one, versatility is going to be huge for you. You know, being able to do podcasts like you're doing here, being able to do TV, being able to write. I talk to Theo all the time. He's a really good TV talent. And he can shoot his own videos. He can edit. He can do all this different stuff. And that's the stuff you need to be to be a broadcast talent. You also need to write. You also need to do everything, because people are going to want to hire somebody who can do 4 jobs rather than 4 people who can do 1 job really well. So that would be my biggest advice. Figure out exactly what avenue you want to do and attack it. Don't be afraid. There are a lot of people who are willing to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I meet young people all the time, and I always tell them, I give them my contact information. I tell them to call me, and out of every 10, one person calls.
They never call.
One call, email. And I'm like, I always put the onus on you, because if you can't if you don't care enough about your career to send me an email or give me a call, there ain't no reason for me to help you.
Yeah.
And there's so many people who are willing to help you. People helped me when I came up. I'm 25 and I'm willing to help out. So I know people who are 35 or 45 or 55 willing to help out. Nobody, you just got to be diligent, willing to attack these things and go after it and say, hey, I know it's a tough path for me to do it, but I'm going to do this. I want to be a sports analyst. I want to do a play-by-play. I want to write for ESPN magazine. Okay, let's get you there. What do you want to do? How do we get there? Well, let's set out a plan.
Right.
These are steps that you need to do. You might have to go work in Bowdoin, West Virginia for 3 years, 2
Albany,
years,
Georgia.
or Albany, Georgia. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to make $25,000 for 2 years to chase your dream? They're like, ooh, I don't know if I'm willing to do that.
I'm willing to do that.
You gotta understand, is this business something that you're willing to put into? So I think you got to answer a lot of questions for yourself, and once you answer those questions for yourself, it's a business that is waiting for people who are creative, young, different perspectives, and don't look like the traditional journalists to shine and tell a lot of these stories that deserve to be told.
Can you believe that he didn't think I was gonna call him back? Or
Yeah.
email him?
He was one of them, bro.
Yeah.
He was the one out of 10, dog.
Yeah.
Dog. Did you ever tell him the story?
I don't know if I ever let you know. I was back. I went off to Hampton,
Uh-huh.
kicking it in college.
2014.
2014.
Right.
I came back from for a winter break. Somebody lured me into this party.
Yeah.
To a chick's house who I didn't even know.
Somebody.
It was random.
Yeah.
Not even him. It was probably some chick.
Yeah.
Lured me into this party like, hey, we're gonna kick it tonight. So you know how it is when you come back from break. You like, what's up? You know
Right.
what
It was
I'm saying?
it was December 2013.
Yeah.
December
2014.
2013.
This before I got to TSU.
And I had just launched my website. We had a website called Elite Insiders where we was writing. We had a lot of writers from different colleges and whatnot. So I come to the party, we kicking it in the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bump into this dude on the stairwell.
Right.
And mind you, me and Akil, we knew each other, but we weren't like cool.
It wasn't like this.
Yeah.
We just used to hoop back in the day growing up. So he hit me up and was like, man, what you into nowadays? And I told him, like, I'm doing a sports journalism thing. Here's my blog. I kind of showed him on my phone and whatnot. And I was like, this is what I do, man. I'm in sports writing.
Mind you, I never did this day in my life. I was still playing ball. Like I was at HCC,
Right.
putting up shots.
Ball is life.
Yeah.
He was going to the league.
Trying to
at
make
this
the
point.
league.
Yeah, I was trying to make the league.
You want to make the league and coach one hole, you know?
Yeah. That was a kill. He's the embodiment of ball is life.
Right.
At this point.
Right.
So
Ball out.
I'm like, he BSing, like, but I was like, you know what, bro? Like, look, if you want to write for us, I'm gonna give you my number. Hit me up, and we can make something happen. So I gave my number. I kept parlaying through the party. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
party over with. I don't know how soon did you hit me up after that?
Think
Like
a day or two.
Man, early. Hit me
Yeah.
up, and I'm like, okay, he's serious.
Yeah.
So I made him a profile on the website, got him started. His first article was about if Michael Jordan didn't retire, how many championships would the Houston Rockets have won out of those two? I think he said they would have won one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I never wrote. I was always against writing.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
that was the first big one. 'Cause I
What
wrote.
was the first one was
the
Adrian
very
Peterson
first
and the
one
Texans.
was a Portland Trailblazer one, but you didn't like it.
Oh yeah, we shot that one.
Yeah,
down.
you said my shit was garbage, so I had to make another one. So I said this. It was around the time when I was at that point where I said the Texans need to trade for AP because Cushion was getting. This is like I predicted the Cushion thing like 5 years ago. I was like, dude, Cushion needs to get gone. Trade the number 1 pick, but they got Clowney that time. So I said, you know what, trade AP. That came out. I think it was like
That
it was
the
okay.
first one, it was pretty decent. His second article though
Was that Michael Jordan
was
one?
Michael Jordan, and it blew up on the site.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you might have something for this. So we started like working with him. He started like refining some of the writing game. He really been wanting to do this though.
Right.
Yeah,
From the
radio
jump.
for like
Yeah.
the jump, but
He
I
didn't
didn't.
wanna
I
do the
wasn't.
writing
I was
like
always
that.
against writing. Though.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
then
that got you in the door, right?
That got me in the door.
Got you in the door.
And I was the
flourished.
only guy from the 8 at Houston at that time, right? Because I was from like
Definitely.
the MEAC conference, like Hampton,
We
Howard.
had, we had Hampton, NCAT, FAMU, Howard. We got PV after you in Sequoia. I don't know if you know Sequoia or not.
Yeah, I know.
But we had it all. We had some out in like the West. We had them all. We had like about 10, 15 different campuses.
Right.
Writers there.
Right.
Yeah.
He was the first one from the H, and he got in there.
And since
and
then, I was
knocked
like,
the
because at
doors
first
off.
I didn't take it serious. I was like, man, I'm gonna just write, do this, blah, blah, blah. But then once he hit me up, and it was like that, I was at work. He's like, bro, your thing blowing up. I go to the website. Dog, less 24 hours, it like just got like a bunch of numbers. I was like, oh shit, I might do this for real. You know what I'm saying? But then he told, I think when I got to TSU, that's why I said I'm gonna go to TSU, do a lot of things, and get out. He talking about NBJ. I ain't gonna lie. When he was on the phone, he talking about. I said, "Alright, go to this." I was like, "Oh, this thing so loud." I was like, "Cause he thought we gonna go there."
Right.
Go
Right.
there
Yeah.
I was like,
You got to be committed, man.
Right.
That's good. I'm glad that you was, man.
Bro,
I'm glad that you was.
Soon as he, cause it's crazy. Soon we got that phone about it.
Yeah.
I went
He
down to
jumped
the
on
told my mom. I said, "Mom, it's this thing called NBJ. It's live journalists. Blah blah blah. Mom, buy me the ticket."
And I told him after early bird. Like, I told him this was probably like
June.
this was late. Like NABJ was in like 2 months. I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, it's NABJ. You probably not gonna go this year, but
He'll try to make me wait for DC. He's
Yeah.
like, Minnesota's probably too late.
Yeah.
I said, man, fuck that. Hey, mama, give me this plane ticket to Minnesota.
Right.
It's like, Minnesota? Yeah, it's a conference. And I'm 21 at the time. I'm trying to grind. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get it out there. But I like, man, ever since then, NABJ, TSU, play-by-play, writing, this. I'm like, bro. So all I'm saying is anything's possible.
Yeah,
Everything
absolutely.
is possible.
If you really want it, you gotta go get it. Cam, Theo, what you gotta say? You got any last words to say?
Warriors in 6.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm on that Warriors and 6 boat too.
Congratulations.
We some realists.
Hey man.
Hey, congratulations on everything.
Appreciate that.
Fuck you.
I don't endorse that.